Listen, we all want to make a character that is just able to delete any enemies without any problems. We want our character to go from complete garbage to being an absolute god. I must say that I have made a couple of good characters. They aren't really god tier though, because you're gonna need some amazing luck to get some amazing artifacts, but they are still quite good. They don't have any 5-star weapons or a lot of god tier artifacts either, but they are still able to hit hard enough to complete the Spiral Abyss. Even though I can barely get any stars on the 12th floor. Hold on, let me just go cry over here. Either way, let me show you how I build my characters. And you should also know that it is best to start building your characters once you've reached adventure rank 45, because that's when you're able to actually get those 5-star artifacts, which is really important for character building. Alright, now that you know that, let's begin. Firstly, I look at what element my characters use. Are they using Animo? Are they using Pyro? Just knowing what element they are using gives you a clear idea of what artifact set you should be going for. For example, my Sucrose uses Animo, so I just instantly know that I gotta put on the Viridescent Venera set because it increases Animo damage by 15%. I also make sure that I put on a goblet or a cup with Animo being the main stat bonus to increase my Animo damage even more than it already is. Which is another thing that you should remember, and it's that there are cups that offer elemental stat bonuses. They can really help with increasing the damage of whatever element you're using. Just remember that whenever you see white numbers pop up when hitting enemies, that means you're inflicting physical damage. Whereas seeing colored numbers means that you're inflicting elemental damage. If you see red numbers, that's pyro damage. Or if you see purple numbers, you're inflicting electro damage. See what I mean? Now it can be quite different for some other characters. For example, there's a couple of ways to build Noelle. You can either go for the Maiden Beloved set to capitalize on her healing abilities, or you can go for the Geo set to increase the damage of her Geo abilities. Not that I would really go for that, because she doesn't really inflict Geo damage often. Or you can mix it up with the 2-piece Noblesse Oblige set along with the 2-piece Geo set so that your burst will do more damage on top of the increased Geo damage that you're getting from the 2-piece Geo set. The best way that I think about it is, what element are they using? Is it ice? Is it fire? Then I think about how often are they able to throw out that element. If they're able to throw the elements often, then you can put on the 2-piece of whatever artifact set matches your character, along with whatever cup that will increase the damage of that element, because the 2-piece set of whatever element set does not provide as much of a bonus when comparing this to a goblet. I mean, look at this difference. Now that doesn't mean that you shouldn't completely negate the fact that you are getting a small increase of damage for whatever element you're using. Think of it as a cherry on top of the damage that you're getting from the 2-piece stat bonus. The other thing to take note of is the way the character will play. If your character is going to be a supportive character, you might want to give something that can help the team. Take Bennett for example. I and probably many others would use the Noblesse Oblige set. The reason behind this is because of the 4-piece set bonus, which is that it can increase the party member's attack by 20% for 12 seconds when you cast your burst. When you pair this bonus with Bennett's burst, which is that you basically get an attack bonus for your team as long as you're inside of the circle, then you are getting even more attack bonus for your team. It's basically 1 + 1 equals you're gonna do massive damage for 12 seconds. Now if the character is gonna be your main DPS, you need to figure out how will you get the most damage out of your attacks. Take a look at Razor. When he fights, he mostly uses his physical attacks rather than his elemental attacks. Even though his elemental skill cooldown is quite quick, I'd say he mostly deals physical damage. He even has a physical damage bonus when he ascends, which just means that you should have artifacts that can increase Razor's existing physical damage. You can also play him by quickly throwing out his skills and burst and swapping him out with another character, but you will miss out on the damage potential that Razor can do when you have him on the field during his burst. Now that's only because when Razor is swapped out while his burst is activated, he will lose his burst. So it just makes sense for Razor to be on the field when his burst is active. For me, I gave him the Gladiator set. And the reason behind this is because the 4-piece set bonus will increase the damage of my attacks if the character is using a sword, claymore, or a polearm. And would you look at that? Razor's holding a claymore. Preferably, I would actually have gone for a 4-piece Pale Flame set, but I don't have the time in the world to get a Godsend set for Razor. My luck hasn't been that great as well, so, you know. So you just basically need to think about what role is your character gonna take. Is it gonna be your main damage dealer? Is the character going to be popping in and out of the fight, applying skills and bursts whenever you have them ready? Would they be doing massive damage when they use those skills and bursts? Or will they simply buff your team members by providing shields or healing? When you think about how the character works in your team, then you'll be able to figure out how to build that character. Remember how I just briefly mentioned Razor's Ascension bonus? Well, that can be applied to every character as well. When a character ascends, they receive a stat bonus. That stat bonus is unique to each character. So someone that gets a pyro damage bonus might not appear on another character. Now you might as well take advantage of whatever stat bonus that you are getting and increase that amount even more. A great example is Kazuha. When he ascends, his elemental mastery is increased, which means that you should have an artifact that can increase his elemental mastery. Or you can make the timer, cup, and crown all elemental mastery artifacts, because Kazuha's abilities relies on his elemental mastery. Also, if you didn't know already, the flower and feather main stat will always be HP and attack, respectively. If you're thinking that you're lucky that you got HP and attack as the main stat, then you might want to think about that. On the other hand, there are some cases where you should not focus down on the character's ascension stat bonus. Rosaria is one of those characters. When she ascends, her attack increases. And you would think that it's best to have artifacts that would increase her attack, but it's better to increase her crit rate. The reason behind this is because she has an ability that can increase your teammate's crit rate by 15% of Rosaria's crit rate, which is probably why I would have an artifact that would increase her crit rate rather than going for her attack. Or better yet, you can go for the 4-piece Blizzard Strayer set, because the bonus is that it increases a character's crit rate when an enemy is inflicted with cryo. This works perfectly well with Rosaria because guess what? Rosaria uses cryo. What a surprise! You can still have another attack artifact to increase her attack stat, but just remember that you should at least have something that can increase her crit rate. Another thing to remember is the weapons can also help with some stat changes. I almost forget about this from time to time because I'm no well that buys fates for the weapon banner. I'm just a poor Genshin Impact player. Weapons might not be able to affect a lot of things, but it does take part in your character builds. Take a look at this weapon. This can give you energy recharge, so if you pair this with the character you're building, maybe you don't need to invest too heavily on energy recharge. You should also keep in mind the special abilities of the weapon. The Sacrificial Greatsword has the ability to reset your skill's cooldown when you hit an enemy with your skill. Anytime you hit an enemy with a skill, energy will be generated. So this will just help with getting your character's burst to come back faster. You should also be looking at how your character's talents work. To increase the strength of your character's abilities, you need to know how they work. Zhongli's skill and burst are dependent on his HP. So what should you do in terms of artifacts? Well, make sure that you have stuff that can increase his HP. Stuff like the Tennessee of the Millith set, where it increases your HP and the strength of your shields. Or you can do something like what I did. I use a 2-piece set of Noblesse Oblige to increase his burst damage, and a 2-piece of the Geo set to increase his Geo damage. There's many ways of building your character. It all depends on how you use them. Just don't be placing defense artifacts on your character unless they obviously use defense as one of their abilities. That's basically how I build my characters. Be sure to look at what element they use, look at what the talents do, think about whether the character will be a main damage dealer or will they be healing or increasing the damage of your team. In the end, just remember that this is just how I build my characters. I'm sure that there are proper ways to build your characters, but if you want to have fun while dealing some good damage, I'd say experiment around. Just don't put a fire set on a character that doesn't use fire at all. So don't be thinking of putting a fire set on Kazuha here. Just ugh, that'd be kind of crazy. You can still do that because he kind of still does fire. I mean, like, as long as he gathers it in his wind, but preferably don't do that. Either way, if you found this video useful in some way, give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more Genshin Impact videos to come. Be sure to also follow me on my Twitch, link is down in the description box below, where you get to see me play games and you can chat to me live. Again, link is down in the description box below. What is also there is my Twitter. You should check me out on Twitter as well to see any other channel updates, and I like tweeting other stuff here and there. So, thank you guys for watching, and I shall see you guys later. That's a beautiful shot of Beto right there. That side profiling. Woo! 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 Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm hydrated now.